Welcome back to the Keiser Report. I'm Max Keiser. Yeah, we're still in New York City. You got a problem with that? All right, let's talk to Lee Kemp. He's got this whole series on YouTube called Moment of Clarity, and he just got back from the Edinburgh Fringe Comedy Festival. You are really the hottest comedian of the moment, Lee.
Thank you. Did my agent send you that?
All right. Lee Kemp, why is it more dubious than Scientology that America would want to rescue Syria?
Well, years ago, before L. Ron Hubbard started a religion, he said that the way to make $1 million is to create a religion. He then went on to create a religion. Now that's similar to what's happening here in Syria because General Wesley Clark, years ago, in speeches, in interviews, said the Pentagon told him, people at the Pentagon told him, we were going into 7 countries. It was like Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Iraq, Iran, or upending them in some way. And now we're doing it. So the question is, do you believe L. Ron Hubbard when he says, oh, I'm creating this religion because it's the real religion, right? Tom Cruise is the burning bush and Will Smith is the Virgin Mary. Do you believe him? Well, that's similar to believing the idea that we're only going into Syria for humanitarian reasons.
All right, Lee Kemp, we're not far away from Wall Street and where bankers hang out, like bankers from Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs, headed up by financial terrorist #1 Lloyd Blankfein, recently said that the upside of the war against Syria is that it would break fiscal gridlock, partisan bickering over the debt ceiling. So he sees a lot of upside to murdering poor Syrian children with chemical weapons. Your moment of clarity on this.
Yeah, there's a lot of benefits to murdering people, and I'm surprised we aren't talking about those. I mean, this is insane. This is like listening to what they want, what Goldman Sachs wants. It really is like listening to the leeches on a dying man's skin, like checking in with the leeches. Well, what do you guys want? What would make you happier? I mean, the idea that of course that's all they give a crap. They don't care how many people are foreclosed on, how many people's lives destroyed, as long as it's making some good money for them.
Yeah, the words coming out of Blankfein's mouth is like the equivalent of the Ebola virus. When he says something, it latches on to a political leader, and then they start acting as if they've been infected by his financial terrorism. Well, this phrase financial terrorism, the LA Times is, repeated. I've used it many times. They recognize that the real threat to America are bankers on Wall Street with weapons of mass financial destruction, not the Al-Qaeda people, not the bomb-wielding, fanatical people out there in the Middle East. What do you think about their comment?
Yeah, I mean, it's no doubt that the financial terrorism is more dangerous to the American people. I mean, the number of millions of lives destroyed after the 2008 collapse, just so they can make a few bucks, it's far more than the number of people that died in 9/11 and the number of people that die from terrorism in this country on a regular basis. More people die in the bathtub. So it's absolutely financial terrorism. It's destroying far more lives. I mean, there's 5 times as many empty homes sitting around this country than homeless people.
All right, I'm going to introduce this now. This is the marshmallow gun. Just hold it. Don't fire it yet.
Are you turning me into Carrot Top? Is that what you're trying to do?
No, I use props, and I've gotten worldwide recognition for this. Now, this is the marshmallow gun that we use to stop bankers, according to Eric Holder. He fires marshmallows at them, and we're going to use this later on in the broadcast. I just want you to hold it and get familiar with it, because you're going to be the shooter.
I thought they were too big to marshmallow.
Well, that could be a whole nother topic. We're going to get into that. Now, the U.S. has just concluded a deal to sell Saudi Arabia nearly $1 billion worth of cluster bombs. Is this really all about war and weapons monopolies, Lee Kemp?
Yeah, I mean, it goes to show that we don't actually care about humanitarian causes. The fact that we're okay with this war profiteering by way of cluster bombs shows that it's not about humanitarian reasons. And furthermore, you notice we only have these humanitarian reasons to go into countries that serve a geopolitical interest or have oil or some other reason. It's like a lifeguard saying he's at the pool to save the day, and then he ends up just doing mouth-to-mouth with all the hot chicks, whether they need it or not. And at some point, there's a pile of obese, ugly dudes dead from drowning, and you're like, I don't think he's here to just save the day. I think he's here to just make out with the hot chicks. So the humanitarian reasons, while we're selling cluster bombs, is insane.
Well, I mean, one clear motivation for this whole cluster F word, see, I'm good, is that Russia's got a monopoly of natural gas to Europe. Saudi Arabia wants to tap into that business. So to build the pipeline to Europe, they got to kill a lot of Syrian kids. I mean, that's basically what the war is all about.
It's simple math, really.
Yeah, it's just oil and gas.
Yeah.
But so Obama, when he gets on TV and says that there's something, if Obama, let's say he was honest, he got on TV and he said, America, we got to cut into Russia's gas monopoly to Europe, by killing a lot of Syrian kids. And as a result, the price of oil and gas will be cheaper for you, and you can still buy Happy Meals for less than $1. What do you think? Let's vote on it. Do you think anyone would vote against it? And the outcome would be the same, right?
Right, because this was also something General Wesley Clark said in those same speeches, is he said, what the first Iraq war showed us was that we can invade the Middle East and no one's really going to stop us. No one's really going to get in the way.
Right.
And so that's the same idea, that we can invade Syria and no one's really going to stop us.
All right, now we're doing really well on time. I thought at this point now, having introduced the marshmallow gun that Eric Holder uses to stop banksters, we're going to keep going, but this is a banker zombie right here. And so what we're going to do, Lee, is I'm going to hold this in my mouth, kind of a William Tell moment. And then you're going to try to kill the zombie by firing the marshmallow gun directly at my face.
Okay.
This is just a pump action, like any standard item you might find in an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Try to kill the banker zombie.
Let's see how this goes.
Right.
There we go. Yes.
All right, stop.
And you realize that for anyone who doesn't like your show, that's going to become a viral thumbnail. They're going to...
We can only hope, Lee, we can only pray that goes viral. But you see, being a bankster on this side of the equation, although that stung a little bit, having a marshmallow fired at, probably 30 to 5 miles per hour, and directly hitting the flesh of my face, I can still go down to the job and concoct weapons of mass financial destructions, credit default swaps, mortgage-backed securities, all kinds of stuff invented by Blythe Masters or Jamie Dimon. It doesn't really stop me, does it?
Yeah, exactly. These corporate crimes, massive corporate crimes. Sometimes they pay a fine, sometimes there's a little slap on the wrist, but it doesn't stop them. And we wouldn't accept that on any other level of business. If you went outside your door and a 5-year-old was selling lemonade and you took a sip and it was like, you were like, this is urine, you pissed in this cup. You wouldn't just tell him to move a block down and keep operating his business. But that's what we do with large corporations. Just go back to doing what you were doing.
Pissed in his cup?
Yeah.
Lee Camp, tell us a little bit about Larry Summers. He's potentially going to be the next Fed chairman. What are your thoughts?
Well, Greg Palast, who's a great journalist and reporter, just came out with this leaked memo written by Summers and Geithner years ago about how to deregulate the entire banking system and how they need to do it globally and how they could do that via trade regulations. Basically saying to countries, if you don't allow us to, deregulate your banking, then we won't trade with you. And it worked. And so basically, you have that memo showing that they are the main reason, one of the main reasons for this entire financial cluster F, as you called it earlier, that has destroyed people's lives. And now you're going to put him in charge? Talk about failing upward. I mean, these people are failing everyone else in the world besides a very select few. And now he's going to be Fed chair? I mean, it's horrific. We're in the middle of something very serious. We're in the middle it really is. It's a full-on war between profit and people. Dark versus light. Mel Gibson now versus Mel Gibson 1993. This is some serious stuff. This is a drop-down, drag-out, bloody freaking war. And most of us don't even realize it. We've anesthetized ourselves with shiny crap and zombified ourselves with televised social rejects. And just like a fishbowl, if you just give us a little bit of food and a little plastic treasure chest or a chest of plastic treasure, then we will never even question that most of our thought is happening inside of a little 2-foot sphere. We will never even question it. I mean, this full-on, ravenous, unfettered capitalist domination of the mental sphere, the natural here and now, is liquidation. It's an extraction. It's a digestion, a defecation on anything and everything that matters to your average human being. And it's just a matter of whether we can put our differences aside to tell those select few, the select power elite, to go screw themselves,
Well, you talk about the deregulation and Larry Summers. Of course, he was involved with, going back to the year 2000 or Clinton, the law that changed the status of financial derivatives from being what was then considered to be instruments of gambling. They reclassified them and said they are no longer gambling and therefore would not have to be regulated as gambling instruments. So that was part of the whole process that occurred during Clinton. He also, of course, they got rid of the Glass-Steagall, which separates the regular utility banking function from the speculators. But I've noticed, and you do a lot of work around the country performing and you go into casinos, I'm sure, and there's a casino mentality where in the casino, once they get you in the casino, they try to keep you liquored up.
Right.
They throw a hot babe in your face. The slot machines are rigged so that if people start to walk away from the slots, they tweak them so that they start winning, paying out little higher payouts.
Right.
There's a whole behavioral science to casinos now, where they have your frequent casino use card, and they use that data, big data, to emotionally target you. They know what your weaknesses are. That's one reason why they collect all this data through the NSA, is that they can behaviorally target you at casinos to get you to throw away as much money as possible and to become part of the Ebola virus, which is the American economy. Is there an analogy? Do you see it? Between casinos, you've worked in casinos, we're here in Wall Street. Talk to me, Lee Camp.
Perfect analogy, because not only are we standing in front of the world's biggest slot machine, but also you're talking about the emotional harm that's done to people in order to keep them in the casino. That's what Syria is. That's what endless war is. It's keeping us constantly afraid. We've got to be scared, or else we turn around and go, why is this like this? Why are we getting screwed like this? We start saying that. And the moment we start saying that, they go, oh, everybody get together. We got to go to war over here. Look over here. Look at what's going on over there. Stop paying attention to the man behind the curtain.
All right, here's another interesting observation that I think only you can weigh in on, because you've been performing in Europe as also you perform in the United States. In Europe, there's this concept of equality, and this means equal access to things like education, healthcare. Doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, there's a notion of equality. Yeah. And when I've seen you perform in Europe, I saw you in Scotland, the audiences are a little bit different in that they seem to be more in tune with this idea of a coherent society that has rights. Whereas in the U.S. now, you see complete obliteration of the middle class. There's only the very, very rich, and then everyone else is basically waiting to get into prison for a meal. Is there a contrast between Europe and the U.S., and is the European model breaking down and heading toward a U.S. model because of financial terrorists like Larry Summers or Lloyd Blankfein?
Yeah, I think their model is becoming closer and closer to ours, and I think you're absolutely right that the one of the biggest achievements the corporate greed monkeys across this water have achieved is making the idea of the common good a dirty word here in America. The idea we should give a crap what's going on next door in our neighbor's house, whether his life is destroyed. So making that a dirty word is one of the biggest successes they've been able to achieve.
Well, this idea of spying by the NSA, and Microsoft, for example, is hugely a big player in spying, and now they've been allowed to buy Nokia, a big European phone company. No penalties, they just keep buying stuff. But part of the problem of having the state spying on everyone is not so much that you're protecting your privacy, but more importantly, you're getting rid of the ability to assemble, because part of any opposition would be the need to assemble to create an opposition.
Right.
But if you get rid of, if everyone's spying on you, you cannot assemble. The right to assemble is destroyed. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think we have to legalize protest again. I think that's important. And you're absolutely right. I mean, this spying, everyone should be outraged about it. And again, saying, look over here, they're doing that with Snowden. They're like, oh, it's all about Snowden. He's a traitor. He's a horrible person. He failed out of college. Look, none of that matters in terms of the NSA spying scandal. Giving a crap about that is like if your house was burning down, someone tells you it's burning down, you see it, you then turn back and go, didn't you fail out of college? I'm not falling for this. I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of person. Snowden and Bradley Manning, Chelsea Manning are just the messengers, all right? That's all they are. And if only there was some sort of expression in our zeitgeist, in our culture, to tell us what to do with messengers. Something about imprisoning messengers or shooting messengers. If only there was something to guide us.
All right, Lee Camp, who I might add is not Carrot Top. Thanks so much for being on the Keiser Report. And everyone should tune in to Moment of Clarity on YouTube.